Alright, we live. Yeah, late okay at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, coming with another wonderful episode of Doppio Dope. I'm not by myself. I'm joined right here. You know him from so many award-winning productions. I'm not going to waste my time running them down. If you've heard the word Emmy, if you've heard the word Grammy, if you've heard the word Oscar, you know this man's name, Clement Bryant. What's up?
I mean, I wish they did, but thank you for that. I'm chilling, man. I am tripping over these orange skies, looking like Blade Runner, looking like I feel like we're living in Blade Runner right now.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. And big shout out to TJ Sterling. The art that you are seeing right now around us is from his comic book called Alchemist. It is in Kickstarter right now, or they might just be wrapping up, but they met their goal and everything. A brand new issue, super dope. Y'all should check it out. But we got some stuff to talk about. We got two good things going on right now in a crazy world. EW, also known as Entertainment Weekly, dropped some new photos and a little new info on The Mandalorian Season 2. How you feeling?
I'm hyped. Like, I've been wondering, it's like I've had an idea that they would probably drop Season 2 in October. For anybody that's not, up to date, it's dropping October 30th. So I've kind of known. And so the business side of my brain is like, okay, when are we going to start getting, photos, details? When are we going to start getting, footage, piece of the footage? Because usually for a good marketing campaign, you would start marketing like for a streaming show 2 to 3 months out. Or if it's like something that's really hype, you might even do a little bit sooner because the kind of like the bell curve on it is a little bit shorter. So I'm like, okay, when are we gonna get it? But now that I see what we're gonna get, I'm like, I'm a little hyped. But what I'm waiting for is the trailer. Like, photos are great. Having new information about what the direction of Season 2 is from Jon Favreau is gonna be dope. But I want that trailer.
That trailer gonna be the hotness.
Yeah,
that trailer gonna be for real. We get a little information with these pictures as well. Like we get, what I mean, you see kind of like everybody coming back to play, and we get a little bit of Big Brother Almighty up in the photos. But we get a quote that says, "Quite simply, we don't overthink things." Filoni says of the show's debut season, which was inspired by the opening act of A New Hope and straightforward compared to the frenetic tangle of characters, story threads, and callbacks that filled 2019 saga, including The Rise of Skywalker. Then later says, George started with these very iconic characters whose relationships are very clear, and then introduce what's at stake for us. The fate of the child, says Filoni. An audience tends to enjoy a story by sticking to tropes and characters they understand, like a gunslinger in the Old West. So it was very clear and a fun adventure, even if you've never seen anything in the Star Wars universe. And this is something that I would agree with him on. I would say that when it comes to something that was familiar, because there was a group of people that were like, like, oh, we've seen this before. This is a ripoff of Westerns or blah, blah, blah. And there's a difference between ripping something off, like, how should you say, Nick Jr. and Hair Love, or
don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, or taking something that's been done before and fitting it to what, your world. I think they did do it in a way that felt comfortable and engaging for anyone who didn't even know about Star Wars to get into, like, oh, okay, cool. He's the lone gunman. He's on his own, the lone wolf, finds a kid. He has to protect it. Shows he has like a little bit of a heart, and it makes sense. It's
got like Season 1 had elements of course, Star Wars because it's based on the universe, but like elements of like spaghetti westerns. like even like the way like even like the samurai story being like the lone samurai that is part of a tribe, that kind of thing, that is a part of a culture, not a tribe. Sorry. It had a lot of elements in it. I think even like Favreau referenced like samurais when he was developing the idea for the pitch to go to Disney with. So I don't like to call it a complete ripoff is unfair, and it
very unfair.
It's kind of insulting in a way too, because it's like it kind of just disregards all the work that they put into it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And you're talking about a show that helps to expand Star Wars in a way that a lot of people have been asking for a long time.
Right.
And when, I remember being online and seeing when they announced that there was going to be a season 2, and we've already been shooting it. Like, people were like, yeah, please, some more. Like, there's not a moment that we spent with The Mandalorian that I didn't enjoy. I think it's a show that fits in very well. And as long as we don't bump up too close to, kind of like our original trilogy canon type stuff, I'm happy.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
it's just like so much fun seeing a world that is, a galaxy that is kind of war torn. They're sort of over it. Empire is still there-ish, but not really. And everybody's kind of standing around like, well, who's in charge? So I do like that. And these photos show that kind of like we're coming back and the quality is still there. And of course, we got Baby Yoda too. And one thing that I love about it is that statement of like not overthinking things. Because I do think there's been many properties, Star Wars included, as of late, due to public and social sway, especially when social media is not indicative of everyone in America, but due to public and social media sway, has kind of overthought what they were making. Especially when you talk about the statement that came out recently from Daisy Ridley when she was being interviewed by Josh Gad, where she was like, oh, he said it was going to be Palpatine. Then he was like, oh, well, maybe it won't. And it's like, don't say that. I mean, go on and say that, but it's like, it just further cements, you guys had no plan. Like, you just wanted to bring it back.
I mean, and honestly, it's like, but that also ladders to what John Boyega talked about last week in his interview. Because we had something like Force Awakens that, while it did kind of, I don't want to say bite off the original trilogy, a lot of what the original trilogy was based was in Force Awakens. But they went with a different direction in the characters. So they had a black character, and we were like, okay, cool. This guy's wielding a lightsaber. Okay, great. I'm gonna bet on.
They try to use up that black algorithm.
See, but I also think it works because if they didn't have a plan, that means they had no plan for any of the characters. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So it's like, while I completely back what John Boyega is saying, but if it's always like they had no plan, it's also like, if they had no plan, they had no direction for any of the characters except for Rey.
Yeah, and when you watch it,
even like she talking yesterday, it's like they didn't have a direction for her, so it's kind of like
they were just kind of like going. And when you look at different properties, like if you look at, and I know I'm reaching out now, when you look at the Darth Vader comic book, there was a plan for what the story they wanted to tell. If you look at the final season of Star Wars Clone Wars, they knew the story they wanted to tell. When you look at Mandalorian, they knew the story they wanted to tell. Star Wars, it was kind of like, we'll make it work. And it was like, but at the same time, that's why Star Wars is cool, where it's like, I can be like, you know what, the movies ain't really doing it for me. But that Darth Vader, both versions, there's two versions of Darth Vader on point. The final season of Star Wars Clone Wars, especially that kind of like basically the movie that they ended it with, fire. Mandalorian, fire. So it's like, even though over here you might not be getting, spiritually fed by the Star Wars gods, you can still come over here and get everything you need.
See, and that's why it's like, and I think now that Disney and Kathleen Kennedy realize that you can't do Star Wars the way that you do Marvel. Because that, like, I think what they tried to apply the whole shared universe kind of development plan to Star Wars. But with Star Wars, you had so much stuff that happened in between Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker. Carrie Fisher died. Ryan, there was Ryan Johnson was rumors that he was going to come back and direct 9. Colin Trevorrow got fired after.
Completely forgot about that.
And Boyega makes sense. He's like, stop blaming JJ for a lot of the stuff because he wasn't even supposed to come back to handle any of this. So JJ kind of did the best he could with what he had because he came back so late in the process. Because a movie like that of Rise of Skywalker has to tie up not only the current trilogy that it has, but also the original trilogy and the second trilogy. It's kind of it's a lot. It's hard to do.
What was it when they leaked the script from? Was it Trevorrow?
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah,
I ain't going front. I wasn't mad at that script. Like now, of course, direction things can still fall apart during, but reading it, I was like, you know what? It gave Poe and Finn way more to do than kind of be like the background dancers for Rey.
Right.
Like everybody had something important to do. And I really like the whole idea of like a rebellion on Coruscant and stuff. I was like, oh snap, this kind of would have been dope. Like this would have been kind of sweet. And especially the guy who rebelled against his own, I guess, programming, like leading that as like the sort of like Moses of like that part of the story. Yeah. That would have been dope. But of course, cool. Things happen.
and honestly, there's probably a lot of stuff. Speaking of someone who does work on that side, there's probably a lot of stuff that we're never going to hear about.
Yeah, we're never going to know.
And I'm not trying to like play both sides or seem like I'm a coon or whatever. It was what the social media
I feel you. You have to consider.
But it's like there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts that we don't see.
And we also have to consider, because I like that you bring this side, because even though I get kind of like word of mouth or like secondhand, in many cases, you're kind of there in that energy all the time. And one thing that I say a lot of is, regardless of how cool that take was, regardless of how great it sounded and how awesome it would have been, Colin Trevorrow does not own Star Wars. He doesn't. So remember, there's a whole lot of stuff like on TV shows.
There's a lot.
You get studio notes. You get notes from the actual production company, and you get studio notes. So you got like your showrunner telling you what they think about your episode, and then you got NBC telling you what they think about the episode. So there's a lot of times when you're like, oh, why didn't the show do this? It's like, well, we wrote this stuff that was really dope. But then when it got to the showrunner, he or she said, take that. And then when it got to, ABC, you know what I'm saying? Then they were like, no, take that and take that and take that out. So what you got was like a twice watered down version of the cool stuff we wanted to do.
And the other part of it is budget. Because you just got to think about the budget, because it's like, TV is one thing. TV budgets, okay, they're not really great. Streaming, they're a little bit higher. Film, but when you're talking about a film budget, when you have millions of dollars on the line
upon millions
for production, we're just talking about the production. Then you got to get to the marketing. Marketing is one of the UAP.
Bruh, the insurance alone.
It's exactly. And then visual effects. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar production of easily over $100 million. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little,
it's like
the script and how it is.
Yeah, there's gonna be people that are because when there's more money on the line, people are. It's weird because there's a stance to be taken on both sides, but from the money side, people are just scared. They don't want to lose this money. Like they don't want to get fired. They're simply scared. The only problem with that is they're not willing to. I'm kind of one of those people where I'm like, hire people that are good and let them work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do not micromanage. But I also understand you're talking about $250 million. There's going to be some fear. There's going to be some micromanaging that comes with that. But, you know, what we'll get to in a second with the trailer that we're going to be covering next, there's times when it seems like that budget also comes with the energy of like, look, we know your work. We know how you do. We've already seen the storyboards and the concept work. Go do you. You know what I'm saying? You are the boxer. We, meaning the studio with all the money, will be your cut man. You know what I'm saying? You come back, we'll wipe you off, give you something to drink. You know what I'm saying? But we're in your corner, but you fight the fight. But it seems sometimes like they want to be in your corner and fight your fight. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And it gets stressful because then you have directors like Christopher Nolan. I don't want to rile the internet up, but I love Christopher Nolan. I'm a huge Christopher Nolan fan. But the way of like everything that's happened with Tenet, like I got to be like, this is a little bit much for him to be like, yo, we need to release it on theaters only and then not have drive-through options.
It's highly irresponsible for him to do that.
There's a lot, and that's what I mean when you talk about Star Wars is there's a lot going into the process that we don't see. JJ probably had notes. Chris Terrio, who wrote the script, probably had notes and tried to find something. One of the actors probably wasn't probably comfortable with the storyline. Budget, production company, VFX couldn't make something work. We don't know. So it's like
how many days were available to shoot here or there, tons of stuff.
Yeah. And like honestly, compared like the fact that we got 3 extra Star Wars movies is a miracle. But I will say the fact that
actually more than 3. We got 3 main storylines. Then we got Han, Rogue One, and no, that was it, right? Rogue One and Han Solo.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that was it.
But I'm talking about just like regular trilogy.
Yeah.
Like action trilogy. Like
we got 3 movies we were never gonna get.
Right. So like
it's a bonus-ish.
Because now that we have the original trilogy out of the way, people like Rian Johnson, who may have a new franchise coming, might be dope. The dude that directed Slay, I think it's his name is Dillard, J.D. Dillard, I think. And he's working on something, and I'm like,
I still wanted to follow up to Slight, but I know I ain't gonna get it. But the young brother in that movie, he's dope. That movie is a perfect way to like, because that joint did not look like it was super expensive, but between the charisma on screen and like the smart usage of effects, I really like Slight. I like Slight a lot, like a whole lot.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Yusuf in the chat, said don't blaspheme against C. Nolan. Yo, man, I love Nolan. I like Christopher Nolan. I'm not sold on him like his acolytes are, but I do like Christopher Nolan's work. I think I put him in the same category though, unfortunately, with a lot of the stuck up like artsy film guys where they think the only way that you can view film is on 35 millimeter in a theater by yourself. It's like, dude, it's times have changed, and it's cool if you want this, but to act like your way is the only way and the superior way, I'm just like, it's not for me. So personally, he turns me off.
I agree like that, and because like I get like that sometimes where I'm like, okay, I want lights off. I want to watch a movie. I don't want cell phones on, whatever, because I want to experience the actual. I want to take in the movie. But that said, when you have a global pandemic, I'm kind of I'm thinking of, like you really got to think about. Okay, one, we have to keep on pushing the film back because because of your pride, essentially because of your pride, right? What I would have done is I would have been like, okay, we're pausing all marketing on this film until we have a game plan and we are set on the game plan and we know. So and like I said, I have nothing against Christopher Nolan, but as purely from a business sense, and also just as like people are dying, I'm kind of like, we need to kind of figure out what we're going to do here.
Yeah, I would have just deboed him and been like, look, y'all, it's going to be on HBO Max next weekend for $20. You know what I'm saying? I would have just been like, because if we're going to wait until like a vaccine and all that stuff comes, you ain't never going to see that movie. You know what I'm saying?
But I guess we'll talk. This is a good time to bring up Dune, but you know, Dune has the same issue where it's a really popular franchise, and Denis Villeneuve, he's like a Christopher Nolan. He's a really artsy director.
Yeah.
You look at Sicario, you look at Blade Runner 2049. He's got that air to it. But also, Dune is scheduled to come out in December, right?
Yeah.
They might have to push it back. They just dropped the trailer today. And
they definitely pushing it back. They're pushing that back.
Right. So don't get it twisted. I love the Dune trailer. I watched that trailer. Yeah. I was up at 9 a.m. I was like, where's that? But that said, so it's just like, we have to really figure out what this pandemic is going to be, because here in LA, there's still stuff that's not open yet. Yep. I went to try to buy an Apple computer the other day, and like Apple still closed, but they're open in San Francisco, they're open in San Diego, but everything in LA is still shut down. So it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But you know, that said, man, Dune is looking straight. Like, I was really, really happy to see the level of detail, the dialogue, everything that went into that trailer. It was just like, I was like, wow, I am sold. I really want to see more.
For someone who saw Dune super late, like I saw the first Dune maybe like 2016. No, maybe a little earlier, maybe like 2014 or something like that. That was the first time I first saw it. And I remember the homie Brandon Easton, who really loves Dune, I was like, yo, man, this movie is great. I never knew it. Why didn't they ever make a sequel? And he was like, they did. He was like, they tried. Leave it alone. But now me seeing this, I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
And the cast, from the lighting to the way they played the digital like fight thing, that of course the old school effects weren't the greatest, but you know, the digital fight, the character that they have like playing the lead, when he put his hand in that box, the facial expressions, his scream, yo, he's really bringing that energy and that emotion. And I am excited for this. I was like, because I didn't know what to expect. I know Denny is cool. When he did Prisoners. Prisoners, now, you know, depending on the type of person you are, Prisoners can be a tough watch. But Prisoners is good.
I mean,
Prisoners is a darn tootin' good movie. And saw Sicario. So I kind of knew, in Blade Runner, so I kind of knew like, oh, okay, cool. This dude knows what he's doing. And he was talking about being excited about Dune, what we gonna get. Man, look. Not only do I love this trailer, I would say this might be one of the best trailers this year. And I'm not mad at the music either. I've seen some people kind of hating on the music. I'm actually not mad at the kind of like chorus, you know, kind of choral, music-y sounding. I'm not mad at it, man. The effects are great. The acting looks on point. It looks like a perfect update to what we got in the 80s. Yeah. It's, man, it's awesome in a lot of ways. And I've watched it about 4 or 5 times now.
Me too. And even like look at Arrival, man. Like he did Arrival too. Yeah. And when you watch Arrival, it's not a standard alien invasion flick. It is something that's on a complete another level.
I do think it tried to be a little too deep for its own good, but I did like it.
I mean, that's Nolan.
That's Christopher Nolan. That's Denis Villeneuve. Yeah. That's them. That's how they do.
That's their vibe. That's right. I mean, even JJ gets like that sometimes. So
yeah, it's like, come on, bro. We get it. You're not
like,
as smart as you think you are. We get it.
But,
we're on your level.
Yeah. Because they want you to think higher on a higher level. They want you to be like, oh wait, here's the themes, here's what they're trying to point out. But I appreciate that. But yeah, man, like the cast, man, you got Timothée Chalamet, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa.
Nobody looks whack in it
Dave
either.
Bautista, and Zendaya, it's like, how do you get a cast like that? Like, it is an amazing cast.
Well, I mean,
amazing. And
as actors, I'm pretty sure they know his name. They know him. Then they probably saw the concept art and they were probably like, I'm sold. You know, well, but the money probably helped too.
The money probably helps too. But I will say, man, I'm really excited for this. And now I'm like, I gotta go read the book. I gotta see the original movie. Like, I am that jazzed for it. But I will say one thing that does worry me is about the marketability of the film. Like, because one, we are in COVID, that is an issue. But also, two, is Dune 4 quadrant enough to get people to want to go watch it? You know what I mean? Like,
I see what you're saying.
A broad enough audience? Is the audience broad enough that they're going to want to see a heady sci-fi epic? Now, you know what I mean?
Dune has the history, though. That's the thing. Dune, it's weird. Dune is up there, but it's weird. Dune has the history of like a Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, but it's not as flashy, but it's definitely got the history. I don't know, maybe, because I wonder if Dune has to be kind of broad, like to bring in the money it needs. Like, does it? Because, you know, like Joker didn't really have to be, but I know Joker was not, you talk about different budgets. But
$50 million versus like something like this. Yeah. You know, it's completely different. And the other part of it is that's on the line is there's a TV show that's coming for that's attached to Dune. Dune. There's a TV show coming too. So, like, and I'm not trying to cast doubt, but it's just something that I saw a tweet about it when I was at work today, when I was during my lunch break, and I'm like, it's a good point. Because we saw what happened with Blade Runner 2049. Really good, really great movie. Yeah, but it didn't hit as hard as they wanted it to.
I will say, after watching it, I was like, I didn't feel they needed Harrison Ford in it. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't mad at him being there. I just watched it. I was like, you know what? You kind of could have did this without Harrison Ford. But I guess you also need that connection to get, you know, people like, oh, Harrison Ford's back, you know, kind of thing. Shouts out to the chat. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you needed Harrison, regardless of how integral in this movie. Because if you're talking about Blade Runner coming back after 20, 30 years, the audience is completely
because see, I'm thinking about just story-wise. Right. But marketing wise, you kind of do need.
Yeah, you need them.
Yeah. Shouts out to the chat. Daza Wilkinson. I hope I'm not screwing up your name. Daza says drive-through. Plus, they can do what Milan is doing. I think that drive-through is not a bad idea. They did do a drive-through. They had one for New Mutants available, but it was all the way in Pasadena, and I was
and they already had the setup.
Yeah, they already had the setup. So, I mean, pretty much every city has a football stadium, or even, I mean, Rose Bowl is like, you know, college. So, I mean, every city has like most cities, I guess, have like a college size parking lot so, I mean, drive-in isn't against it's not against anything that I would consider, you know what I'm saying, safe. I think a drive-in could be just as safe as anything else. I would say keep the windows up. I don't be trusting everybody's coughing. But but drive-in would work good. And I do think, like, maybe it's time to just go to streaming. Like, look, it's a pandemic. People don't feel safe going out. I'd be mad skittish just to get groceries. I'd be like, look, I'm going groceries back home. And I'd be mad skittish doing that. people aren't ready to be going out to theaters. And I think trying to put someone in a theater is tough, but I think a mix of drive-in and straight to HBO Max or Disney Plus or I don't know, CBS All Access, Netflix, whatever, Amazon Prime. Shouts to Prime. They're putting out Antebellum like next week or something like that, which I'm super hyped for. But I think that's the best way to go. Just be like, yo, look, hey, it'll run you $20, $30. We won't know how Mulan did probably for another week or so. But there was a report that said that the app was downloaded, like the app downloads were up like 168% or something like that.
But that only tells one part of the story, though.
Yeah, that only tells one part of the story. So the app was downloaded, as far as on mobile devices. So that means that most likely they're paying for it. If not paying for it, at least getting the free, month or week or whatever. But then also paying for the movie, I assume, because I mean, if the app downloads jump like that when Mulan drops, I assume it's for Mulan. And then we don't know if they're going to let us know what their streaming, was. Because Netflix don't be telling nobody. Netflix be like, look.
Netflix doesn't tell anyone.
Don't ask.
But when you have a lot of the studios, when they get great results, they like to boast in the press and be like, oh, we made $100 million opening weekend for this movie, whatever.
Yeah, because Universal was getting swaggy.
Yeah, they were. So I'm really bent on seeing what these numbers were from Mulan, not app downloads, how many people actually paid that $30 for premium access to watch it. Because I was one of them. And I was like, okay, cool. But and there's a lot writing on it, because now, if it's successful, that's more likely that we're going to get Black Widow.
Yep.
Everybody's waiting for
I truly believe if Mulan, if they take the last dollar, from Friday to Monday at midnight or whatever, or maybe the first 2 weeks, because I mean, of course, it's home streaming. Maybe they're going to change the rules a little bit. But if they take the first 2 weeks and they're like, yeah, we made $500 million in the first 2 weeks, you can bet that Black Widow is probably on the way. I'm like, because that's money you ain't got to split with nobody. It's like E40. We here in California. E40 would talk about being independent. He'd be like, yeah, I only sold X amount of 100,000 out the trunk, but every dollar is mine. I don't split nothing with no record companies. I don't split nothing with no distributors. All that $10 is mine. Not 2 of the 10, all of it's mine. So never know. And
it's not 100% okay if Mulan does numbers that that Disney wants to see, that they're gonna get Black Widow, that we're gonna get Black Widow on D+, but it's gonna make it that much harder, because if they release Black Widow on D+, they're gonna destroy the relationship with the theater owners and exhibitors, because that's a whole nother thing, because they've been waiting for that blockbuster to come out since May. So and that's why people were mad at. That's why AMC was so pissed about Trolls getting pissed off earlier this year, and why, I'm not sure if you saw the video, like the day after Disney announced that they were going to release Mulan on D+, there was some dude who was a theater owner in Europe or whatever who started to smash on camera the theater, the standee that they had. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Really?
It was, yes. Yeah, look it up. And I was like, oh shit. So
here's my thing to theater owners. What are they supposed to do?
Because they're waiting for that people, because they don't make enough money off the ticket sales. They're waiting to make all the money on the concessions, popcorn and drinks. And
what? I wonder. I mean, could theaters still open and just sell concessions? I mean, there are people that just crave, like I've craved movie popcorn before, but is it worth the money that you would spend in electricity to open just the front part of the theater?
But it's also safety too. but it's also 62 because
yeah.
because even gloves, you have to reach your whole hand, part of your whole hand and arm to get the popcorn out and put it in the bag. And then you're touching, and then you're touching the water, and then you're touching the drinks out of the freezer, and then Slurpee cups, they have a hole at the top. So if you're talking and you're laughing about it and you're saying, "Hey, how's it going, sir?" Whatever, molecules, drops coming out of the mouth. It's a whole thing. So it's like it's not just the
wear an AMC mask and you be good. 1, 2,
3. But AMC's not even doing. AMC was barely even, forcing people to wear their masks, and that was a whole thing when they were talking about. Well, you can. It's optional to wear masks. We hope that you would, but that wasn't. So
they burn their own bridge with that. Nah, bruh.
Right. And even like when AMC was like, also when they were like, well, we're not playing any more Universal movies until they come. I was like, so let me get this straight. You're going to be getting rid of James Bond. You're going to be getting rid of Fast 9. You're getting rid of the third Jurassic World movie. It's like,
they lying.
So if Black Widow does get on D+, Disney will severely impact the relationship with those theater owners and exhibitors. And it's a whole thing. Being on that site, it's important AF. Like, it's important. So,
but here's the thing.
It's something to think about.
They're distributors. They don't have the content. Regardless of how that relationship is, when everything comes back, they are not going to not allow Disney movies in a theater. Let's be for real. You know what I'm saying? Let's be for real. AMC ain't making no movies. So AMC can say whatever it wants, but when all this is over and the next Bond or the next Fast and Furious or whatever, or Jurassic Park come out, trust me, they ain't gonna be like, you're not allowed in here. They blow a lot of smoke because they was emotional. The bottom line is, you should be saying, dude, you know what? I get it. It's pandemic. Just do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
You think they would? That's in a perfect world, that would be great. Okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, cool. They're like, wait, word? So not only are we not getting a percentage of those ticket sales, we're not getting a bus in the seats to sell concessions to. They're like, screw you, Disney. That's their vibe. It's like, screw you, Universal. And I'm like, and I'm not saying I approve of this, and I'm not saying that, that it's cool, but that's just the way it is between the theater owners, because they don't make any money as it is. Yeah. Which is why AMC was also like, we might be going bankrupt by the time Dune comes around. Obviously didn't happen, but they said that. They were like,
well, there's going to be a lot. The sad but true thing, and I guess as we get ready to roll out, but sad but true thing is, there's be some industries that don't survive this. Like we were talking about this on a joking level, but serious at the same time. Buffets are done. They're done.
No, yeah.
Buffets are finished. If you're someone who likes buffets, it's out. Now, I'm not cool on buffets. I'm not a fan of them. But there is one place. If you're in Virginia, you might know of this. Captain George's. It's an seafood buffet. Captain George's is the bomb. It's not like no rinky-dink, you know what I'm saying, buffet. It's not like no hometown buffet. No, it's like straight up official. Floors is always clean, all that stuff. But even Captain George's, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, man.
I'm not going there.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens, but
what you gonna do? Theater owners need to just understand, like, yo, you better either just bite the bullet and be like, look, we can't show no movies, but we ain't gonna show no, because here's the last thing you want to do is eat crow when everything comes back to normal. Because I'm pretty sure Disney gonna be like, remember when you was doing all that, saying all this? Universal gonna be like, remember when you was talking big and bad? Now all of a sudden you want my movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably best for them to just be like, all right, look, you know what I'm saying? It's the pandemic. Do what you got to do.
Yeah. there was a version of that. They AMC and Universal they made nice, but I think a good strategy for theater owners, if it does come to releasing like something like Black Widow, and don't forget, and Soul, because there's also Soul too, the new Pixar movie.
Oh yeah.
They have to release it on Disney Plus. A good way is, okay, Disney does the drive-ins. We'll release it on Disney Plus for premium or for premiere access. But then also, once we get back into it, hey, remember when you wanted to see it, but you weren't able to have the theater experience to see Black Widow, Tenet,
that's cool. I'm down with that.
Whatever. Now we're releasing it, and what you do is you don't do it for $15, $20 of tickets. You bring that price level down to $10 to $12, and then you give a discount on the concessions, even though they'll have to take a hit in the short term of concessions. In the long run, they're getting those customers back.
Yeah, you got to get them butts in the
and
seats.
And then you're gonna get them back to the original level of pre-COVID. So that would be what I would do personally, but I know there's probably complications to that too that I'm not even thinking about right now. So
there's a lot of money men and lawyers involved. That's like
contracts and sign, and
because I know Disney sound like the family-friendly company and everything, but I'm sure there's some people in Disney right now that's like, psh, ain't nobody worrying about no theaters. We got Disney Plus now. We can put anything on this joint. Forget them. But at the same time, theaters are dope. It's just that with this pandemic, until we over it, theaters is not the way right now. Anyone trying to force you to go to a theater is sketchy.
And I mean, it's like, do I want to see Tenet? Hell yeah. Did I want to see the Dune trailer in theaters first? Hell yeah. Did I want to see Mulan in theaters? Yeah, I wanted to see it, but I'm not going to the theaters as much as I want to see it. And the other part of it is, I will say that people that are trying to compare and be like, well, the box office Tenet failed. I'm like, you can't really say that. You can't say the box office failed
when we're in the middle of a pandemic where people literally are not supposed to be beside each other, bruh. You can't do that. It's people just be wanting to write headlines just to write them. You know what I'm saying? Just like we were talking, I was like, the headline that I saw was like, $20 million opening resuscitates theaters. I'm like, no, it doesn't. $20 million. No. The theaters need about, say if COVID was over right now, all the virus is gone, out of here. Like, theaters would need 3 straight months of like Avatar, not that Shyamalan stuff, Avatar, Star Wars, Avengers. They would need like a full 3 months of like that type of level. Everybody buying a large popcorn, everybody buying a large soda. Like they would need like 3 months straight of that.
And that's probably a good point, because 2021 is going to have the movies that should have came out this year and all the movies that came out this year that are coming out next year too. Think about it.
So it's the bounce back. Honestly, bounce back. I'll say this. I'm gonna drop something on y'all before we get out of here. The bounce back is real. Y'all better I ain't saying y'all gotta dump your whole, you know what I'm saying, your whole spot in there. But it might not be a bad idea to get you some, Alamo Drafthouse stock or some AMC stock or some Cinemark stock or something. Because the bounce back is going to be real. Because now I know there's people that's already going out, you know what I'm saying, because they don't want to listen and they're like, we don't care because the virus ain't real. I guess they haven't seen enough people die from it. I ain't going to talk about them. But for everyone else that's staying in, when we are able to go out, things are going to get popping real fast. You know what I'm saying? Live Nation stock, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff is going to get a jump. MGM Grand, any of these entertainment brands and stuff, all that stock is going to go right back up. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little tip for y'all.
And I'll add an asterisk to that when they start to trust again. Because consumer trust is the key. If I know, I'll say this, and I'll drop something on you now. Okay, now I'm gonna have my own moment. Here, let me say this. No, I'm just playing. Consumer trust is a really big part of marketing, and it's a really big part of sales. you want the quality, but you also want to know, okay, if I know that you are taking cleaning seriously, meaning after every screening, you're vacuuming seats, you're spraying it down with Febreze or whatever, something like that.
Not that lazy high school kid that's just like brushing popcorn.
And the showings are structured in ways enough to allow time between the screenings to clean out the theaters. And then also if you have something like if there's a way to like recycle the air, but clean the air, something like that. That's a way that's gonna get that consumer trust back in a way that's like, okay, because they're gonna do it in phases. Okay, people are gonna be like, okay, well, I don't trust it yet, but let me see what my friend Jessica says. Let me see what my friend Charlie says. Let me see what my friend Jack says before I spend my money and risk my health to go see the theaters. Yeah. So when Jack says it's okay, cool, I didn't get sick. Okay, I saw him after 14 days. He's socially distanced, and there's a way to have all that. Getting that trust back is what's going to get those people back in the theaters. So you need it's a weird combination of enticing content, good prices, you're actually cleaning stuff, equals consumer trust, equals butts and seats, equals theaters becoming back to what they were pre-COVID. That said, things are going to be different after COVID when we do get a vaccine, when we figure out a way to clean air, when we figure out a way to clean surfaces. And when social distancing isn't even a thought anymore, there's still going to be questions.
Yeah, because we were talking about this on another... Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
We were talking about this on another show where I was like, you're going to have the period where the vaccine comes out. You're going to have... it's probably going to be 6 months to a year for everyone to get vaccinated. Then you're going to have another 6 months or so before people feel safe to go and sit down in a restaurant with no mask on. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be, so people that think it's going to be, I'm like, nah, we still probably got about 2 more years of this. And I know that sounds horrible, but even the most optimistic is we'll have the vaccine in January. Well, it'll take us 6 months to a year to vaccinate everyone. Hopefully it works and people don't drop like flies from taking it. So it works. People get vaccinated. Nobody's sick no more. Then it's gonna take another 6 to 8 months for people to feel safe about going to a restaurant, going to a movie, whatever, and taking that mask off. No gloves, no mask, no face shields. It's gonna be a while. Airlines and stuff like that. It's gonna be a while. So you're right. That trust in I can go out without bringing something back home to my child or my grandma or my sister, my girlfriend, wife, brother, whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
And that's important. And it's like, and I'll say this, me and Ash, my girlfriend, we went for dinner the other day on Sunset in Hollywood. And we went because the only reason why we went is because we had friends in town that we haven't seen in 2 or 3 years. So we went to a restaurant and me and Ashley, we were the only people that were wearing masks at the restaurant. And the only time that we took the mask off was to eat the food. And then right when we were done, we put the mask on. And even then, we made a point of trying to sequester ourselves off from everybody else that was around the table. But when we went, people in LA are still getting too comfortable now that it's like, okay, there's COVID. It's a conspiracy to do whatever X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, because it's been politicized.
It's not really existing. It's politicized, whatever. But people who are younger than us or not taking it seriously, they're not wearing the mask. Meaning, it's going to be longer for us to get to a point where people want to go to the movies.
Yeah,
want to go
because it's not a political thing.
Grocery shopping.
It's a medical thing.
It's a medical. And
it's a medical thing.
Was it just today or yesterday that we saw that AstraZeneca had to pause vaccine trials because someone had a bad reaction to the vaccine that they're developing. So it's like we can't. There's going to be no way to like rush this thing out. It has to be a systematic approach to it. But that's none of my business.
Yeah,
Kermit style right now.
But
it's just like
With that said, shouts to the chat. Yusuf Watif. Deja Wilkinson, Tyler Bennett said, rest in peace, the mom and pop business model. Yeah, it's going to be a while for people to get back up off the ground, or to build back. But guys, thank y'all for chilling. You know what I'm saying? Mandalorian got new photos. You know what I'm saying? You got Dune out in them streets making it hot. You know what I'm saying? Got the same color skies we got in LA right now. Unfortunately, because people want to do gender reveals. It's just some of the,
well,
don't
we're
get me
not going to
started.
do that.
Over here, over here, him, Saving Private Ryan, Clement Bryant.
Saving Private Ryan. I have questions. You picked that movie out of everything?
I don't know. You were really good at
it. I should be the Black Paul Atreides in Dune. That's what I say.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just being stupid. You can find me Twitter and Instagram at Clement Bryant. Give me a shout. Give me a follow. I'm a nice guy. I'll chat with you about anything under the sun that I know about.
What up? And NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all them places. YouTube is the hub. Hit the thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. Hit that thumbs down. But if you hit that thumbs down, I'm going to send Baby Yoda after you. And Baby Yoda looks sweet. But you saw season 1. If you want to, he hit you with them 3 fingers. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that. So, podcast if you rather listen than look. And if you don't want to do either, just open up a tab for a brother. Hook him up. And Spotify for that music. Until next time, we got Arcatron on the beat, ARCKATRON, to take y'all out. Thank you so much for coming through. To everybody in the chat, even the lurkers. Good to see y'all as well. And of course, from us to you, peace. Yeah.
Peace.
What? I said peace. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's good.
All right.